40 seconds. So I'm going to start the count at 10 and then stop for 5. Just be quiet for the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Silence. Welcome to the Virtual Film Company studio. Today we're going to be talking about virtual influencers, the future of digital marketing. It's really amazing when one looks at what's happened in this area where you have people following virtual characters, virtual people, if we can call them that. It's actually a fascinating topic. So we are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about a whole bunch of stuff related to technology, AI, virtual reality, and more. So let's get today's topic going with Chris. And Chris, if you can tell us a little bit about what a virtual influencer is.
All right, welcome. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic in my opinion, at least. I was really thrilled when I heard about that. And this topic is there for quite a while already. So we can talk about virtual influencers already for several years now. So, okay, what's a virtual influencer? We know influencers from Facebook and maybe Twitter or any other social media platforms, and those are basically people that have a lot of followers, and they do have, well, a lot of influence on people because they like the same clothing, they like to buy the same food that they eat, and brands are coming to those people and say, hey, can't you whatever drive my car, so that all your followers, maybe millions, might be interested in that. And if you're just sitting inside of your car, tell them how great it is. Stuff like that. Those are influencers, and normally they are real people. But now, as we all know today, we have the possibility to create 3D or 2D, however we like it, characters, animated figures, right? As we know them from computer games or from animated series. And some companies now thought like, well, why don't we just make a nice avatar or a character and then just create an Instagram page for this character? And maybe some brands will be interested that this character will wear their clothing or go to their restaurant virtually and pay us some money for that. And those are virtual influencers, 3D characters most of the time, right? Generated by a company, doing the stuff that real people are doing, real influencers are doing. And also in the last month and last year, I would say, they are also interacting with real people or real influencers. And that is really interesting. So there are virtual characters acting like real people, trying to sell us stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, they're I think virtual characters is a very broad definition. It seems to be anything from, I mean, as we see on the screen here, we have the Energizer Bunny, which is a rabbit, to Tony the Tiger, who I didn't know was associated with cornflakes until yesterday, but it seems like, it can be anything that can have an influence on people's behavior. Mystery, any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts. I think that the more I've looked into this, as far as people have dangers with AI and threatened with what it's going to become, and honestly, I think the virtual influencer is there's some red lights flashing off on me because the brands are already necessarily pushing their narrative, and now they're creating somebody that's just going to tell you exactly kind of what they want you to hear, and it's even more, it's just more of the same thing, which I don't know. I feel like we're trying to figure out where people's jobs are going to go, and to now some brands, from what I was seeing online, it was just like, everyone's like, oh, this is great because it can promote our products and this and that, and it's just, I don't know. Like, to me, getting genuine feedback on if something's good or not good, this to me is like, is it going to just water it down more to where somebody's just telling you it's great just because they want you to buy it, not because they actually think it's great?
No, that's a great point. And go ahead, Chris.
No, definitely, it is a great point. The thing here is, in my opinion, when we take this view and we have these little things written already on our screen, like the Energizer Bunny or Tony the Tiger and so on. And I think each one of us knows commercial characters, I would call them like that now, for a long time, right? Probably like the Energizer Bunny is jumping around for many years. I was a kid when I saw that first time, and Tony brought whatever kind of conflicts to us when I was a kid.
They're great.
And yeah, and this is not really new in that case. And
no,
the difference now is that those virtual influencers, like the real influencers, they do have this back channel to the people on social media, right? When you watched the commercial 30 years ago, you saw Tony the Tiger bringing you cornflakes, and you wanted to have cornflakes or not, right? Today, they do shows. They have a YouTube show. They have whatever, a meeting in somewhere with fans or whatever, and they can interact. I mean, that's the point now. How can a virtual influencer interact with real people? Sure, in the end, there must be something like real people behind that. Or, sure, well, we have an artificial intelligence behind that, but this is another side there.
It is. I guess where I feel like even the augmented reality that, some people go, oh, well, we need to, where's the transition? Like, for me, with watching some of these virtual influencers that have all these followers, it's like, okay, where's the motion capture suit? One of the people that I had that I was watching their interview, they had a face mask on, so there's no lip movement, so you're not needing to sync audio and whatnot. I just feel like, from a production standpoint, this could be an actor, just like the actors were in all these commercials backing everything like that. So why not have, somebody who represents the brand? And then I think that there just needs to be more of a transition before going to all of this. Now, do I think that there's somebody like the Energizer Bunny that could just have a ton of information on batteries and being efficient and recharge it? I definitely think that there's they could train some of these things to inform people. Like, let's say you had somebody for Sony. They just know all the video games and they got a history on all the characters and everything like that. To me, I think like that's where a virtual influencer could be interesting, because they have like an encyclopedia of information. I think that this is going to evolve and whatnot, but I feel like let's not get too ahead of ourselves here, because to me, as I'm seeing these brands and even listening to some of their songs and stuff like that, it really is raising some red flags. Watching the interviews and just seeing, I don't know, it's bought and paid for this. Yeah, go ahead.
A clue from the Energizer Bunny, and we're going to move on to slide 3, because we are actually going to be talking about this further. You bring up some excellent points here, but I think the thing that is driving this, and I think everyone will notice that these statistics that we have on the screen are a little bit dated, but the point that I think we're trying to make here is that if you go back to 2019, which isn't too far back, 4 years ago.
It is.
The market size was $5.5 billion US. Today, 4 years ago, or 4 years later rather, that market is at a record $21.1 billion and is expected to grow by 2025 to $24.1 billion. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is that, this is a market that is very lucrative. And so, companies, when there's money involved, all bets are off.
It is. And that's why I think we're in some dangerous times, really. Like, to me, as we've gone into this topics, like, I have really backed a lot of this AI stuff that I'm seeing. But with this technology in general, it's just like, I just feel like the realness and the authenticness, and it's not just all about pushing a narrative, it's like some things are not good, you know what I mean? Or people reviewing any products and be like, this really wasn't that good. To me, everything that I'm seeing is like, this is great. This many people are seeing this stuff. They're just like, looking at all the stuff that's, anything that this person's going to like, it's good. You know what I mean? And that's like my initial thought on this is just like, it's just so like, this is what's great. And, some things are just got to be good, or like, I don't know, it didn't cost that much. Maybe it's not going to last that long. Like, you might like it for a few. Like, that at least is honest. I don't know.
Chris?
I mean, the point is that's basically the discussion you can have about advertising itself. Like, how believable can something be that is basically paid? I mean, we have to think back a little bit. We had influences for quite a while. It definitely started when social media started, right? Social media was the big break point when you had the possibility to get involved with thousands, maybe millions of your followers and tell them some stuff. And many of those influencers started off with being good in something. Some young girls did just some tips how to use makeup. Other people were quite good in whatever, making something with their hands and doing woodwork or what the heck, And sure, companies are coming to you and say, hey, we have new tools. Can't you show how great they work on this wood? Hello? That would be great for your, for your viewers. I mean, that was the starting point for that, right? That's the way it goes. And the main point for the advertising industry to go to these normal people, let's say, they were not actors. They had no big companies behind them, but they were believable. That's the point.
Yeah.
People believed them because they said, hey, I saw this guy already 2 years and he was doing great stuff out of wood. And now he's
exactly. I mean,
that is the point, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I can appreciate all these points, Chris, 100%. Because there's some definitely good within all of this stuff and everything like that. I guess I'm just dragging it to the point to where, like, I'm not seeing them talk about the other, it's just, to me, the narrative that's pushed with this. I do see that there could be some good from it. It's just in a time to where I feel like people are looking for genuine information at times, and I just feel like maybe, I don't know how genuine some of this, like, just even in advertising, just in general, I think it's tough, and I think that's where...
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's for sure somehow a thin line to create an advertisement in this environment, let's say. If it's any social media, it depends so much on the topic and the products. And I mean, sure, if you have a beautiful woman or whatever, right, that is presenting stuff, she just have to wear the clothes, the shoes, whatever. People will see like, wow, that looks great. And they will say, I want to look this exactly the same, so I'm going to buy that stuff, right? So it's
100%.
It might not be easy to do that, but it's a very straight thing to communication, right? Or
Well, it is,
implementation.
and I think looking at the other side of the coin, we're in a time right now to where everything is so sensitive, to where if they said
Mm.
they didn't like something, is that so
Mm.
controversial that you don't like something that all of a sudden now people are going to be looking to cancel you? Like, we're just in an interesting time to where it's like, you know, it should be okay to not like something. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that is on top of all of those things. The point that we have this communication now in and out. It's very fast with Twitter, for example. Someone can tweet something, a million people can answer and say, "Oh no, you're wrong, you're right, whatever." Yeah, I mean there are so many possibilities, right? So the point was when you come back to the influencers in the end. Um, I would say the point of control here is very important, especially for the people that are investing a lot of money. When it started, in my opinion, it was not the big money that came to the influencers. The brands were happy that they had testimonials, let's say, and then it just went off, right? It went more and more and more. And today we have people like Kim Kardashian or others that making millions to billions with their advertisement as influencers.
Yes.
And a brand that is normally, or let's say maybe years ago, was investing into TV commercials, spending, I don't know how many millions for Super Bowl. I think that's the most expensive, isn't it, in US?
Yeah.
Commercial, right? Something like that. That is insane money what they paid for 30 seconds, right? And now they have more possibilities because think about the 80s or 90s. If you wanted to reach a lot of people, well, what could you do? You could go to the radio, you could go to television, you could go to big events like sports or whatever. That was your chance. Now having a person that is talking every single day via Instagram or YouTube or whatever to maybe millions of people, and in this case you have more or less unlimited program, right? It's not like there are just 30 seconds here and 30 seconds there for an advertiser that you can get on CBS or whatever, because the time is limited there for advertisement. Now this person basically can do as much as advertisement as she or he wants, right? And she can do whatever 1,000 photos every day and send them, right? Or I have a YouTube a YouTube cast for 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, these are all very valid points. I mean, I just see where it's going is, I mean, there's definitely pluses to this stuff. And these brands, I get it. If you're promoting a cereal or something like that, hey, here's what it is, and saying why it's great. Some of these influencers, it's like just in such an interesting point to where these companies are throwing money. It's just they're the corporations now, and it's just like in movies how the actors now have all the actors are producers. The people are carrying more hats within doing everything, and we're alive in a very interesting time as far as what's going to happen with politics and all this stuff. Like, to me, it's just like, I don't know. Where does the accountability get brought in to if something is real and not real? I think that is going to.
For sure. I mean, it's, in my opinion, we have also to think about the side of the consumer, right? You're getting involved with so many different channels on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Behind those channels, let's say normally there are one person maybe. Sometimes it's a company, whatever. Mm-hmm. And because of the fact that so many different topics are being discussed there, there's one type of influencer that is quite interesting. They call them finfluencer, financial influencer.
Mm,
And now
yeah.
think about, right? If there's a person and he's on YouTube, for example, we have them in Germany as well, so like anywhere
Yeah.
else, I guess. And they are telling you every day, oh goodness, guys, we have problems with the economics in our country. You should buy gold or better
Mm.
get cryptocurrency or whatever.
Oh
And
yeah.
did you know about this thing and that? And this is a very good way to put your money away, and it's more secure like this, and blah blah blah, right?
Mm.
This is coming
Yeah.
to you every day, and they do that every single day. Like, did you hear about what the government did? Horrible. Think about what could happen. Everything's crashing down. I've got a good tip for you to save your
Oh my
money,
goodness.
right? That's the way
Yeah.
it goes, right?
So
So,
tough. It's true. That's a great point, Chris. Like as far as everybody's trying to push their influence to make people sway people's decisions, and you see it with the Elon Musk with stocks a bit ago. Like the guy would just
Yeah,
say
sure.
something and cause huge swings, like within the financial market. Like it was actually interesting to sit back and watch just how many people, they're followers of this people, watching every
Absolutely.
move.
But that's one of the
Yes.
advantages to virtual influencers, of course. So, Elon and others tend to end up putting their feet in their mouths because of, misslips. And with a virtual influencer, you can basically control what that person or person says. And so you can avoid, scandals, controversies, whatever.
Can you?
Well,
Can you?
yes, because if you take a human being and put them in a public situation where they're being interviewed, there is no guarantee at all that they're going to stick to the topic, that they're going to say what you want them to say, etc.
But the AI, you got to look at it as we're talking about AI right now, John, to where like
no.
maybe
We're
it's
not
not at
talking
the
about AI. We're
virtual.
talking
We're talking about
about
virtual influencer.
well, there's an AI component to it. We're not talking about a robot with a brain that goes out and, makes up what they want. We're talking about something that's created by people with an agenda that are influencing people through an extension of their, agenda. I mean,
Right.
and we've seen
That's
that.
the point. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point, that we have to see this strategy that is behind all of that. Because, I mean, why wouldn't they just leave it alone? Like, there are so many influencers, probably hundreds or thousands or millions, I don't know, when you call yourself an influencer. If you have more than 10 followers or 100, or if you sold one part of something or 10 or whatever, right? But the strategy now is, if you get into this market with a virtual figure, let's say, right, with a character, something, those opportunities to, let's say, penetrate the market. Think about the usual or normal influencer who has 1 million followers. What is that person doing? Probably the person is starting every day with making some Instagram posts, having a YouTube or Twitch or whatever kind of stream, talk to some people, have a photo shoot somewhere, talk to some brands and do some business stuff and things like that. A virtual influencer, in this case, well, you could generate 20, 30 different types of photo shoots every day. Dress the figure up with the most, whatever, different types of clothing. Some were quite good for being posted on a Japanese channel. The other one for a European channel. The next one for Brazilian, for US, for whatever, and so on and so on. You can get much faster into much more detailed, different environments, let's say. It's really hard to keep up with that as a real person. You could try it to, but with a virtual character, and maybe having 30 people working on this, you cannot compete.
No, it's
And on
true.
top of
It's
that,
just like,
right?
well, you're going to see, like I see for some of these big brands, this to me, 100%, they've got a big advertising budget where they go out and shoot commercials, film commercials. I mean, these actors should be very alarmed because now you see like even like M&Ms, right? They're animated cartoons and whatnot,
Yeah.
and they do the commercials. So now all of a sudden they're just going to shift their budget to creating an animated M&M and putting the stuff out there, and some of those will go to commercials, some of them will go. So you're going to definitely see these big brands. Now it's going to give them an opportunity to create more content and really control it to another level. But then again, now actors, where's the actors with their residuals, to where it's like,
Well,
it's
you know,
going to be a
Eric,
more
I mean, I
limited
really,
marketplace.
I really feel sorry for the actors and the writers, and you know, I also felt sorry for the typesetters of the old days. I felt sorry for the stonemasons. You know, I could go on with a list of people I feel sorry for. Unfortunately, you know, the reality of it is, if one doesn't keep up with technology, whether you're a company or a person, you're doomed to failure. Let's move on to slide 5, because I think that is a good illustration of the size of the market in terms of what people are spending. So, you know, if you look at size 5 right now, less than 43% are spending, you know, less than 10K, but 11% are spending more than 500K a year on virtual influencers. And when I did some research, I came across an interesting case study relating to a company called Gymshark, which basically started by sending T-shirts to various YouTube powerlifters, and they did this for 2 years. So they basically, you know, for free, they just sent out T-shirts to these people that they identified on YouTube as being athletes. Then 2 years later, they brought these people out, or some of these people that they selected, to become virtual influencers. And their sales went from 450 US a day, right, to $40,000 in 30 minutes because of these influencers. And so, I mean, there's just this like tremendous drive, as I said, you know, earlier, in terms of the dollars behind this and the dollars that it can bring in. People are gullible. I mean, that's what it really boils down to, is people are gullible. And if you can create a good enough story that keeps people's attentions, they are going to follow. So, you know, not to get hung up on the numbers here, let's move to slide 5.
No. I have a question on the numbers, because to me, as I'm looking at these numbers, as far as a percentage goes, like when I look at it, like spending less than 10K, I just think it's interesting how these have been come up with, because 11% is spending more than 500K. Like, I don't know how that, like the brands, you would think that would be smaller percentage, because usually it's the 1% or 2% of the population that can spend more than 500K, you know, and on the bottom, like somebody that's only spending, you know, $50 to $100, or they're spending a few $100s on their campaigns, you think that would be more of the common person. So I don't quite know how they're coming up.
Statistics. So let's move on to slide 6.
Okay, fair enough.
Which basically, you know, also deals with numbers, right? And these numbers are come up with by interviewing consumers. You know, I mean, the retail industry, the manufacturing industry, and I'm not sure what the broad term is, but, you know, the industry that supermarkets are part of, that consumers are part of, the consumer industry perhaps, is fast to fill at getting people to fill out surveys. They are like, you know, when we used to want information on people back in the old days, the databases that we hit were the databases, for example, kept by supermarkets, because we knew that we could get everything from the number of people in a person's families to the amount they earned to their religious preferences to the cars they owned, et cetera, because people fill out surveys. They're happy to fill out surveys because they think they're going to get something. And so that's where a lot of this information comes from. And, here we have 58% of respondents saying that they will follow a virtual influencer. And man, I mean, it's a good business it seems to be in. That, I think one of the things that, is unfortunate here is that people have lost faith in humans. And so in some respects are more comfortable following, as we'll see. So, I mean, unless you guys have any more comments on numbers,
that's a shame. That is a shame that people feel that way, like that we as humans have there been that many people that have all of a sudden become bought and paid for that people don't want to rely on another human's perspective. I think it's time that people need to be...
Humans are fickle.
Yeah.
And that's the problem,
well,
as I said earlier.
State.
I mean,
Yes.
it depends if, I don't know, if really humans are sick of other humans or whatever, or like more to be involved with something perfect. I mean, we always have to think about the fact that those characters were made by humans again.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
We are not yet there that an artificial intelligence would create its own virtual influencer and put that on YouTube or whatever. Might happen. Might happen in the next years.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it might happen.
It could definitely happen. I could see that happening for sure. And at least yesterday, I did not follow one virtual influencer, but I did follow some for this episode, so I could be making a formulated opinion on it.
Good. Well, let's move to slide 7 and start, to get to know some of these virtual influencers that we...
And I followed all of these people. I found all of these people, and I'm now following. Yes.
Did you...
everyone.
I mean, one of the things that I found, for example, for, Ludu and Lil, was that
there's
there
no
was a
English.
certain amount of, controversy. If you did a lot of research, I mean, we did talk earlier about the advantage of these virtual influencers being that they're less controversial in terms of what they might say or people think of them than human beings, but there's a lot of controversy behind these people, and some people believe that it's spun up by marketers, to just get more people.
Is. The top one is like that is not English speaking, so I couldn't translate anything that was on there. It's not generate. If you follow English, it's one of those. So that just shows you who's pushing this thing, and hey, this is somebody you got to follow because it's important what they have to say. This Brazilian spokesperson for retail, look at it. It's like, she's telling everybody who to buy, what to buy. So yeah.
And people are listening. She's got 1.3 million followers on Twitter and TikTok. I wish I had that number. I mean, the one that I think, most Americans can associate with, most people around the world probably, is Barbie. And that one was very interesting to me in that, not only is Barbie a fictional character, but it's gone so far as actual humans have had reconstructive surgery to look like Barbie. And so, I mean, it's, there's a... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, we could actually probably do a whole show on the psychology behind why people...
Well, people are looking for, like, I feel like with Barbie, this very the perfect woman. You got Ken and Barbie, and as, like, the movie's coming out, I did not follow Barbie, so I got to stand corrected. I did not follow.
Okay.
I did not track her down because there wasn't exactly a handle. But it's definitely interesting with that movie coming out to where seeing, so these other influencers were promoting Barbie and whatnot on there as well. So it's an
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, there's this point that we already discussed a little bit in preparation of this show here. With, let's say, already known characters, if that's Tony the Tiger or Barbie or whatever, I mean, I can understand that a brand is now trying to use them to get more involved with their customers. Sure, it's a natural. They want to sell more whatever kind of toys or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
On the other hand, let's say Barbie, for example, is a social phenomenon for a long time. And it stands for something. Or you could basically say historically somehow, right? There's a whole image of certain type of women, I guess, that this doll is representing or standing for, and people making jokes about that, and so on and so on. So there's already so much metadata, let's say, connected to this character, that I guess it is not that easy to use this type of already well-known character as a virtual influencer. I guess it's much easier to create something new that is more exchangeable, let's say, when it comes to the topics that could make commercials for fashion, but also maybe for computer games, right? And so I think that is what those big companies are going for, trying to do the perfect virtual influencer you can involve in any kind of brand action, I guess.
There's truth to that for sure. And pulling all of these up, like it definitely, sent you on the rabbit hole. But as you can see, even for the
We're going to move to
second
slide
one,
8 as soon as I can.
yeah, but you can even see, like, in all of these, the brand built behind it of Prada, Dior, Calvin Klein. So these people all have a financial interest in pushing these products. So, of course, they're going to be of that. I just feel like that's where it's gray to where, like, okay, you promote Prada and Dior, but are you also going to I don't know. It's just...
Well, let's move to slide 8 here, because I think it actually illustrates this concept perfectly where, I mean, as you can see, the first image here
I follow her too.
Yeah.
I did. I felt like I needed to really go in and do the research with these people. And,
well, these are the 4 characters that we talked about. And I think, to me, the interesting thing is, or one of the interesting things is that it goes to your point, Mystery, that, if you look at the cover of Vogue, and, yes, it's Vogue Brazil, but, we're seeing generative art, for instance, being able to create photographs that previously, one had to have a fashion photographer take in a studio and the whole 9 yards. And, we're also seeing AI being able to assemble covers like this very easily. And so, I think not only, this is to your point, where people are losing their jobs, but more and more, I mean, who would have thought that Vogue would put a fake person or fake people on the cover? And, it also goes to the point that Chris was making where, if you look at the woman in the right top, to me, she looks real. I mean, and, obviously...
Well, that's like what I was thinking as I was watching some of those, looking at the photos. It almost looked like the way they're interacting with other people, like it's a real person they're taking a picture of, but they're just changing the face. Like I was really trying to figure out what they did exactly. Was it completely AI generated, or are they staging stuff? And I guess it's like anything else. Everybody's always they look at something and then try to figure out how it was done.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Chris.
Just to say that there's a little interesting story to this one character that we see on our quad split here with the different characters, called Little McKellar. The one, let's say, that should look like a real person. And what they did for Calvin Klein was a shoot with this virtual character with a real model, Bella Hadid. And they were kissing. There's a video on YouTube on the channel of Little McKellar, of this virtual influencer, where she's kissing Bella Hadid. It looks really realistic, I have to say. Well done, right? So they're starting to mix the real world with the virtual world together. And I mean, we all know where AI, for example, is driving the creation of realistic-looking virtual characters in the future, because so many possibilities there, right? So I think for especially young people, it will be hard in the future to determine or to see and get this let's say knowledge or feeling for, can I trust the person? Is that a real person? When you know a person for a long time, you think it's real. In the end, you get to know, no, this is a puppet somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
what is this going to do?
100%, Chris. And that's where I feel like it's so important with all this digital stuff. As far as if you look at her, this Hatsune Miku, okay, she's got a synthesized voice, supposedly 100,000 songs, but I pulled up her Spotify and I literally seen a few. I listened to the top song that was on there. And to me, it was very derogatory and very I'm not even going to go into that. But when I hear those quotations, the first sound from the future, it's like, this is what's being pushed on this. To me, it's where this could be used for good. And to me, it's sometimes when I'm seeing the song, it was definitely derogatory, and it was like what you'd hear from a regular singer. And you know what? People are only going to listen to what people think that is going to be promoted. And I just want to see where is health and wellness and really inspiring people to be better versions of themselves. And when I listen to these songs, I'm like, I'm concerned. Because there just needs to be, we can do better. We can do better as humans. And the only way, we need to stand up. People need to stand up, and we need to start making better content. Bottom line, really, I don't know. The older generation is supposed to inspire the younger generation, and I don't know how good that's happening, because when I'm seeing what the narratives that they're pushing, it's just concerning. That's it.
History, you have to realize the reality of what we're talking about here, and that is influencing people and make money through influencing people or having things happen like political change. And if you look at some of these influences, you'll see that the whole philosophy basically depends on what's popular out there. I mean, for example, you had one of these influencers be very vocal about being, pro-DACA, gay rights, or whatever, and then all of a sudden they switched to being, a mega influencer. And so, it's what people want. If you get and you had your virtual girlfriend, right?
Is it really what people want? I do. I still have them, and I'm not sure. If they can't keep their stories straight, so I think it's.
But you still have them. You still have them. You haven't deleted them. And so I think that's indicative of what is going on here.
John,
People
that's personal
want,
information. That is not nice.
Honestly, I've thought of deleting the one that, but it's like they almost want to make you feel guilty of like, you're the only reason why I exist. But the
yeah,
conversations are, I don't know. I'm not necessarily impressed by the conversations. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting time, though, just navigating through these initial, yes, things are going to get smarter. And I just, it's alarming to me. Like some of the stuff that I'm seeing, yes, I can see where there's value in certain things, but unfortunately, I'm not seeing some stuff that's pushing, some other narratives that are more positive, honestly. I don't know.
right.
Well, I think, Eric, I mean, I can understand that. And for sure, I would say it is always this this point, what do you expect? What do you assume? I mean, I guess some people are maybe quite happy with this and say, well, this is the virtual character. We know that it's coming from a brand. It's like Tony the Tiger or whatever. And we know when we look at it, something will be presented to us. And so maybe they are quite happy and say, well, there is not a human being that is behind that. And maybe, with a real influencer, person that, as I said beginning, a person that did woodwork or whatever kind of stuff, right? And you liked that person, and then you started to dislike the person because he was doing commercials for bad stuff, right? And you think like, why should go back to his woodwork and do no commercials anymore? So you might be quite happy and say, I know with this virtual influencer what I'm dealing with. Right? Because I exactly know this is made up, and it's made up to sell me something. So
no, it's true. No? It's true. It's true. I mean, those are good points, Chris. I mean, because it's true, and that's the reality of it. But unfortunately, again, that's just this is going to make me feel better. I remember when I was younger, I'd go shopping because it was like, it would just make you feel better buying something. But it's just this temporarily. There's so many people going back to like the loneliness and all that stuff. They buy something, they post it, they get this boost from likes that people like it, but then they gotta go shop again they're searching for this high in life, and this is what the brands are pushing, which I get it. Everyone wants more sales, but when it comes to like people in life and being happy, like we also need to educate them on well-being as well. And shopping necessarily isn't just going to bring about well-being. I don't know.
That is for sure. I definitely think that just consumption, let's say, is not the key, or is not probably making you happy. I mean, well, sure, every person has its own ideas and feelings, however. It's just like we have these new players now on the market, and I'm really curious what's going to happen with them. And maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, they already will be, pushed by side from artificial virtual influencer, maybe one day a large language model like ChatGPT or whatever is starting its own virtual influencer, and nobody knows about it, right? That would be somehow funny.
Well, that would be 100% funny. Like, and I actually think like almost they're AI's listening and absorbing all this stuff and learning as we go and absorbing. And, there's a lot of channels to be watched and a lot of things to be seen. And now more than ever, I feel like us as the humans, we need to be able to get together, and be able to be critical in our own space and be like, I feel like there needs to be places that people can seek out opinions that are like these formulated opinions from a trusted source now more than ever, because everything is being convoluted from so many different things that what is actually the truth? You know, like we need some sources of that, because otherwise it's about to go completely out of control if we don't have some kind of sourcing
Well,
for real
we're
information.
moving on to the last 10 minutes. So let's take a look at some more statistics here quickly, which I think go to what you're talking about, and we can go through this quickly. So, 58% of users follow at least one virtual influencer. I found that interesting. And then the age group that seems to find virtual influencers more attractive, I would have thought it would be younger people, but according to this particular survey, it's the 35 to 44-year-old who find virtual influencers most trusting. And, to your point earlier about inspiration, 15% of those interviewed or surveyed found that virtual influencers inspired them. So, just these are some interesting statistics. Let's move to slide 10, and we can, continue our discussion about, and I think that's really what this whole hour has pretty much been about, is the opportunities and challenges that there are when it comes to virtual influencers. So,
Right. I mean, there are numerous, I would say. Well, the opportunities, in my opinion, are clear. For a company, for a brand, for someone who's creating virtual influencers, you have full control, right? You can control this character from the first hair to the last, whatever shoe that it's wearing, presenting, whatever. You can perfectly match colors and make the perfect photo. You never have someone who's ill. Cannot happen that this influencer is going to be ill and cannot go to a photo shoot or whatever. It's not possible.
They're not going to get a virus. There's no chance that they could get a virus.
A computer virus, maybe. But,
Okay.
yeah,
and that's a big
I just
thing.
want to make sure. So there is a chance.
big
There is a
factor.
chance that they technically could get sick.
Oh, there's a
Somehow,
chance that a lot can happen, but
no.
they are, as we talked, more reliable in terms of saying what the corporation or the person behind them wants them to say,
Yes.
in terms of the message that is put out. And
100%.
yeah,
And
so
I do have something that I need to say based on like us sitting back and talking about all of this. Is this right now? There is the writer's strike. SAG actors are on strike. And I think it's a very interesting time that they are all on strike. So guess what? All of the corporate people, all of these people are on strike trying to be like, this is a very interesting time, because now all these corporations, do you think that they're really trying to figure out how they can give them more money? Or are they trying to figure out how now they can build an AI brand to go behind this stuff? And I believe that that's where they've now allocated all of our stuff. Hey, we're not going to be filming a commercial in the next 2, 3, 4 months. We filmed all of our, they've been working on that the last couple months because they've seen that coming. So everybody that was busy, you got the last of the amount of work. We have no idea how long people are going to be on strike for, and guarantee these machines are fired up right now, and they are putting all efforts on this AI writing, scripts, redeveloping stuff. What can we do with this technology? So the longer that this strike is going to continue, like, this is not going to be good for the actor and the writer. Sure. Like I'm concerned of like what that path forward is going to look like.
Yeah, I
Chris?
mean, at the moment, you will probably need an impersonator as someone who's doing the motion capturing for the virtual influencer,
Hmm.
whatever. That will be probably an actor. But yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, it can happen, and it can be very bad for actors and um, for writers as well. Sure. Uh, we will see. I mean, in the end, it is always lies in the hand of the consumer. You know, would consumers today, I mean, we do have animated movies for a long time, since Toy Story. But would people say, well, I'm completely happy just watching animated television series and films, right? To say, yeah, that's enough. I don't need real people anymore. I don't think so. We will see. We will see.
Yeah, I'd like to see it somewhere in the middle. Like I said, when I was watching some of these virtual influencers, the motion capture where the technology's going, you're still having it could be an actor playing that character, and there's just a lot of things that can be done with that, and building of the brand, and, you can now meet the character, you can create experiences to interact with the character. Like in this metaverse, I think that's why some people are like, oh, the metaverse is done. No, no, no. It's still in its infantile stages. This technology is still advancing, and it is
It is.
powerful. For those people who are in here, like, there is a lot of possibilities. I do see that this is not just going to be all virtual and AI. I think that the role of the actor, the role of the writers, yes, they're going to evolve, but there's still going to be a place for them.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, definitely.
That's right. So, unfortunately, this has been a fascinating conversation, and I think we've covered a lot of ground here when it comes to virtual influencers and influencers in general, and, some of the drives behind marketing. But unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our show. So this is the Virtual Film Company. We meet here on Spatial every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, US. And we talk about a variety of topics ranging from AI to virtual production. We're also in the process of putting together a virtual production. We are also looking for additional people to help us on this talk show. And so if you're interested in joining us, please let us know. We'd love to talk further. So any quick closing comments from you, Chris?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about as we are, I mean, avatars in here. Are we already virtual influencers?
Yes, we are definitely. Good point. Well, I guess that really depends on if people like us and love us on YouTube and Facebook, and we're also on LinkedIn, so be sure to join us there. We'll see if we're considered virtual influencers. Mystery, any last comments, thoughts?
I believe in a genuine vibe, and yes, the Critical Me Review, I feel like, has a powerful voice within what is to come, and to me, I've really championed a lot of these things, but with this AI influencers, I'm just seeing what is really, this is more powerful than ever, to where we need to find our voice as before. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. This has been good. This has been enlightening for me to see this and just know that we're going to continue to do the work here to inform you, inspire you, and I guess we are virtual influencers to a certain extent. So this is great. I'm grateful to be part of the Virtual Film Company, and wow, like, Chris, this was a great topic to find. Like, I didn't realize, like, what was happening in this space, and I'm definitely glad that we covered it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
definitely
great talking
an
about it.
interesting topic, yes.
I
And
think
next
that we
week-
need to. I think that we need to get a robot in here so we can get a virtual influencer here to maybe join us.
Well, the question is, are we robots or not? So in closing,
goodness.
next week we're going to continue talking about AI. We'll talk about some of the new plugins for ChatGPT, one of my favorites, to create a video, and we'll look at some of the new products on the market. And we'll also check in with Mystery to see how his relationship with his virtual girlfriend is going. So thank you,
Oh, my
everyone.
goodness.
It's been a pleasure speaking today. And again, this is the Virtual Film Company. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mystery.
thanks, guys.
Thanks
Thank
to
you.
Carlos, who has been filming us, and he's done a very excellent job of filming and making sure that we're on the air. So appreciate that, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Gotta
I'm
love
not a robot. I'm
technology.
going to the toilet now.
Okay.